Welcome to Two Sides, Same Couch, a podcast where two best friends dig into conversations most people avoid, from identity to intimacy, insecurities to growth. We sit on opposite sides, but show up at the same intention: honesty, curiosity, and connection. This is a space for people in the thick of figuring life out. Through raw stories and real talk, we explore the messy middle and make room for growth, healing, and perspective. I'm Myron Mullen.
And I'm Maggie Murphy.
Welcome, Maggie.
Welcome, Myron.
All right, so today's episode is about emotional expression across all genders.
All right, Myron. So, how do societal expectations shape the way men and women show emotions?
Ooh, okay, we're starting off heavy. No light work. All right.
No
Societal
intro.
Expectations and how do they?
Well, I guess maybe should we talk about why we chose this topic?
Sure.
I mean, I think we were just okay. I hope you can cut this.
No, it's good. Keep going.
I think we chose it because, or I had brought something up to you that I saw. I saw two videos. One video was a guy who gives like relationship advice. He's married, and he was talking about how he recommended that you don't tell your wife all, like, basically saying you're not like 100% vulnerable with your wife. And I remember being like, huh? When I like heard that, and almost the point where I was like, no, I wouldn't want that. Like, that's wild to me. I would want my husband to be able to tell me what he was going through, what he was experiencing. And I think I brought that to your attention because, like I do with most things, I want to be like, Myron, is this real? Like, is this legit? What do you think about this? Like, I'm just seeing this guy say this on the internet, but this is why having a like male best friend is great for me, because I can get like the inside scoop. So that came up. So that was like one side, right? Because I was like, no, I would want my partner to be vulnerable with me and tell me what's going on. And then there was this other video that I saw, essentially, like, let's say there's a married couple and they're like going through stuff. And let's say it was like a financial problem or something. And if the husband was like really expressing how fearful he was and how scared he was and all these things like over and over and over again, like the wife would start to panic. And so there's an element of maybe he shouldn't show all of that. I'm not saying, I don't know how I feel about it, but the video was kind of saying something along the lines of like, he shouldn't like share all of that with her because he wouldn't want her to freak out and panic. And I think I understood that perspective. So I'm like, it's like the two different sides of the coin.
Yeah.
So that's why I like brought it up to you and like why we're talking about this like emotional expression. And both of those had to do with like men expressing emotion, which got us, I think, just thinking about what it looks like to express emotions for men and women. So I don't know if that's enough of an intro for you or for y'all, but that leads to the first question.
Okay, yes.
Are you ready to dive in now?
Yeah. How does societal expectations shape the way men and women show emotions? And again, how have we personally been impacted by that?
Well, answer the first question first. Like, how do societal expectations shape it?
Right. Well, I mean, we all are familiar with the staple phrases such as like boys don't cry and, you got to be a man and the expectation of being tough, the expectation of shrugging it off, the expectation of not being afraid, not, having it at least looking like you have it together, or that even if stuff is falling apart, you can still be the rock. You can still be strong. Yeah. That's more or less, how society has framed the emotional spectrum of what males are allowed to show in public anyway, or even to the opposite sex. So we've been pigeonholed a little bit. What are some of your expectations or societal, like, have you felt? Yeah.
Honestly, like I don't know if this is for the case with all women, but I feel very comfortable expressing emotion, as you know, because you're my friend, so you know how I am. Like, I am very comfortable expressing emotion.
Yeah.
I think the only emotion that I'm not super comfortable expressing is anger. But like every other emotion, I'm very comfortable with vulnerability. I'm very comfortable with being sensitive. sad, happy, excited. Like I'm comfortable with all of that. I'm working through the anger thing because anger's not bad, you know.
But it's interesting that you mentioned anger because I feel like it's almost expected that men do show anger. And that's probably like one of the few emotions, like outside of like, I mean, men can show joy, but like it has to be in a more, you know, no tears of joy, but just like masculine joy, you know, if that's such a thing. But it is, I feel like it is expected for men to show anger and for like that to be a readily available emotion that's on tap.
Right. And I think like we all are experiencing like a wide array of emotions, but they all come out differently. And I think a lot of times for men, they could be, you guys could be experiencing the same emotion that I'm experiencing. For men, it's like coming out as anger. For me or a woman, it comes out as like sadness, crying, or like different ways. But it's like the thing is the same, but it's just coming out in different ways. And what is like more acceptable.
And also, so what's
comfortable or
acceptable
or pruned from a young age.
Yeah, but like nature versus nurture kind of. And how, because like I think like people get to like, well, I think mainly men too, get to like boiling points because the means by which they're allowed to express themselves is so narrow. So if you're feeling like a big wave of emotion, like you got a whole lot of things going on in your life, but the funnel to express that's only anger, like, you know, you're more or less gonna implode, you know.
Yes.
And like that's when like big blow ups that people are like, oh, how did, like I've never seen him, you know, get that angry or do something like that. That seemed like, you know,
exactly.
If you're not taught how to, okay. So one of my, I guess a practical thing is like in The Office. I don't remember exactly which season. It might've been like season 3, but Andy from The Office is like being super clingy to Michael, and Andy's just like a super cheerful guy, and he's like, you know, just always happy. He doesn't really know how to process. Like he's feeling, you could tell he's feeling emotion, but he's not really sure how to process it. And like Michael's like, all right, you're being too much. I need you to back off. And Andy gets so upset that he like punches a hole through the wall and then goes back to playing it off like, oh, don't know why that happened. I'm gonna go to the break room. Anybody need something? Let me, you know. But he clearly has anger issues, but he doesn't know how to, you know, he's taught from his family, you know, just be happy, smile, and this is all you're allowed to be. And clearly as a human being, we are more than those things. But like when all you're allowed is that small window, you're going to punch a hole through a wall. Yeah.
So it's like, does he have anger issues or does he have emotional expression issues? Like,
well, I mean, he went to anger management, but again, like all those things are kind of layered too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So our next question, are there emotions that are allowed or forbidden depending upon gender and why?
I mean, we did kind of just talk about that. Like, I mean, for men, is it sadness that is not allowed, or is it like just sensitivity? Is this where sensitivity comes in to the question here? Yeah. Because I don't think sadness is something that men are not allowed to express. It's just like how they express it.
But even the how, like there's no, well, how are women allowed to, you know, express, like, it's like express it however, you know?
There's boundaries on it for men, for sure.
Yeah, okay, so
it's like all wrapped up in like potentially perceived manhood and like what's considered manly.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Which,
So, okay, like in recent times, there was an interview with Shaquille O'Neal where I forget what podcast he was on, but he straight up said on the podcast, like, don't tell your woman, like, you know, when you're sad or when you're going through something or even just be vulnerable in general.
What I just said at the beginning. It wasn't the same interview, but that's like literally what this other guy said.
He said it specifically because like your woman's going to throw it back at you, like, and use that vulnerability against you. And
oh my gosh.
And he said it very clearly from experience.
Oh my gosh.
I think maybe one of the guys, I forget who said it, but one of the guys did give him some maybe gave him a little pushback, but he was just like, listen, you know, I've been around and like, you could do it if you want, but I'm telling you, you're doing it at your own peril. Yeah, I don't, well, obviously I don't agree, but at the same time, my examples of like what healthy relationships have been very good. My parents had great relationship. My sister and her husband, great relationship. They had open communication, open dialogue, space for each other to feel however they feel, and they know that it's not, okay, well, you're my husband, so you're the rock and I'm the soft spot. It's like we're the rock for each other. And how we see each other is in total, like we're all whole people. We're not just, oh, I'm just a strong person, and if I feel vulnerability, I'm no longer who I am. We have to see each other in our totality. That, you know, then you may sense weakness, but that doesn't mean you are weak. And that means it's an opportunity for your partner to step up and be strong for you, just like they've been strong for you in time. So, yeah.
So since your family's so strong in this way, how do they, I guess the question is, kind of like break down these societal expectations without losing, I guess this is getting into like what is being a man and what is being a woman. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I don't know if it's going there, but it's like, how do they make it work without like societal expectations?
Well, I think you probably have to first identify what is society expecting from you, or should they expect that from you? Like, do you want to fall in line? So for my family, it was easier than probably most American families. Again, like my family's from Trinidad. You know, we have long, good, strong family values and stuff like that. So for someone like, let's say you didn't come from that. Let's say you want to start off building a good, healthy relationship with your spouse where you can be vulnerable, but you didn't have that growing up. I think for one, you need to look for examples of that so that you can know what to look for. I think people often go towards the things that they tell themselves that they're running from. So if they had like parents with a bad relationship and bad family dynamics, they unconsciously seek those things out to try to, try to resolve that childhood issue.
Try to fix it.
To try to fix it. But yeah, you need to be looking for people who can emotionally, sustain you. Well, I don't even know if sustain is the right word, because you like support you maybe. Because you're not going to have it together at all times. That's just a fact of life. It's just a fact of being in any kind of relationship. You'll need assistance. You'll need help. You'll need someone to be there for you. But you need to make sure that person is someone who can hold that together. Like
hearing Shaq say that is like literally. That sounds awful to me. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, how could someone throw that back in somebody's face? But then like my second thought was, I hope I would never do that. Like, there's almost like this fear that I have, like, would I do that? Like, you just never know.
That's a good question to ask. I think too often people they assume that they'd never do the thing that would hurt someone that they love. But the fact of the matter is we all have the potential to emotionally scar someone for the rest of their lives.
Right. And I think there's also, and I'm just being so honest here, like I'm afraid because like I said at the beginning, like I want my future partner to be vulnerable with me.
Yeah.
But then I also can understand why as a woman, like I might feel some type of way if I'm, do you see what I'm saying? So that to me, like freaks me out because I'm existing in this space of duality where I'm like, yes to this, yes to this. So then I'm scared because I'm like, would I do something to my future partner? Like, would I throw it back in his face? Because I can kind of see these two things. And if situations are tense, like, or if these things are happening, so it's like, I'm fearful because I would never want to do that. But how do you exist in this space where like, I want to be a safe person for like the men in my life, for my future husband. But I also think that some of these societal expectations that we're talking about, like is the word subscribe? Because I think there's an element of them that I'm like, do subscribe to. Not that I agree that like men shouldn't show emotion or like, I'm not agreeing with that at all. But I think you get what I'm saying. Let me stop.
No. You're right on it. I think that's one of the problems is that women will say on one hand, hey, I want my man to be more emotional. but they preface that as long as it looks a certain way, because if a man is emotional in a way that that all of a sudden starts looking unattractive or looks a little too vulnerable or like then it becomes an issue, and all of a sudden that man no longer is a man in your eyes. He's a little boy, because whatever the situation has turned him into this strong stoic individual that you've envisioned in your mind. Now you're seeing, and it's not even so much that he's changed. Now you're seeing the totality of that individual, and the fantasy has shattered, and it's easy to fall in love with the fantasy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think this is bringing up a lot of feelings for me, because I'm thinking so many questions. So how do we, with all of what you just said, how do we exist in this space of what you just described of like, yes, I want this, but only with these parameters, how do we create safe spaces for men? Because I do, especially like I work with kids, I'm thinking about how we're raising boys. And then just common things we're seeing in society, where I do feel like men, especially when it comes to mental health, are struggling. I don't know if the word is more, but I think in some ways we're just seeing things in society that are very concerning to me when it comes to men. I'm not saying women, we have our issues too, but especially when I think these things are connected, And so, what can we do? What can we do about it? How do we exist? And then also, how can we create safer spaces for men? I want you to solve the problems of the world for me in this one question.
Give me 2 seconds here. I got it. I think the way we can solve it, women actually have the tool for, and I think they specialize in it.
Ooh.
And that's empathy.
Yeah.
The problem is that because a lot of the problems societally that women have are usually caused by men, whether it be like patriarchy or just oppression from men in general. It's hard to have empathy for your oppressor.
Yeah.
It's like the last thing you feel like you want to do. It's societally, in order to, and not even to put it all on women, because men need to create more space for other men, which I feel like is happening. Actually, I think it's one of our questions.
How can, no. It's how do you think the conversation around mental health has changed? So maybe that's not the question, just how do you feel like this has been changing in society?
Yeah, and it has. There's definitely been more awareness of suicidal ideation amongst men and depression amongst men. More men, even on, more normal podcasts and stuff like that, you're seeing men.
More normal podcasts?
Or not.
Our podcast is normal?
No, maybe not. But just podcasts in general, where there's more male spaces. I feel like men are talking a little bit more about how they feel and mental health in general.
I think more men are comfortable talking about, first of all, going to therapy.
Yeah.
And then talking about the fact that they go to therapy.
Yeah.
all those things seem more comfortable.
There's definitely less stigma. Probably still a little bit more stigma in the Black community. Just a little.
Yeah.
But I do feel like even that's becoming more mainstream. I feel like a lot more people I talk to have, either, go see a therapist or just have people in their life that they can go to. I feel like there's a lot less men who have no one to talk to. But I mean, it's still by far and away still an epidemic, which is, more so from the, not just men speaking with other men, but men and women's dynamics has deteriorated.
Which we touched on in our episode a little bit.
Yeah.
But then I guess the other question is, how can we create safer spaces?
How do we create safer
for this
spaces
to continue to evolve? Because even though it's improved, right, there's still issues there.
Yeah.
And you didn't really answer my question yet about especially when we think of, because it starts young too. So if you think about raising kids or raising boys, essentially, how do you create safer spaces, because there's a balance there. I guess it's literally teaching them how to be a man. What does manhood look like? What is manhood? Redefining manhood. And actually, Jason Wilson?
Does the name sound familiar?
Oh, he's so good. He's an author, and he kind of blew up on Instagram, a video of him. He does fighting or like martial arts with boys and
Oh,
teaching them like.
yeah.
But he wrote this.
Tall black dude, bald head.
Yeah. The man, the moment
I actually
demands.
love him. Yeah,
You love him? Okay.
He's really good.
So his book I really want to read because it's called The Man the Moment Demands. I'm just looking it up as we speak. But I want to say he talks about this crayon analogy.
What analogy?
Oh gosh, all these different things are coming. First of all, he talks about like what people normally like have defined as manhood, just like provider, protector. And that was kind of it, right? But how like he talks about just like redefining it and how it's actually like all these things, which I would have to look it up. And it is like also he talks about provider, protector, but then like so much more than that, right? And then he also gave so that's one thing. So I think, and that's where that goes to my point of like, you know, redefining manhood a little bit, especially when you think of raising boys, because then you can kind of, you know, as you're raising them, both as a mom and a dad, like you can kind of show them, you know, what it looks like to just like having that responsibility of having a child and stewarding that, right? And preparing them for the world and helping them find their identity and whatnot. But yeah, so the crayon analogy he uses is literally
the what?
Crayon.
Crayon.
I say crayon.
Oh my God, you're a crayon person, Lord. It's crayon.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
I've always said crayon my whole life. I don't know if that's because I'm from the Midwest or another reason.
Actually, yeah, that might be a Midwest thing, but yeah.
Okay, so the crayon analogy is that like women, how did he say it? He essentially said like women, you know, the different crayon boxes, how there's like a 47, 46 box of crayons, there's a 12, there's a 24, there's a 68 or whatever there is. And he talks about like how men are used to functioning, especially with emotions, like with like a four box of crayons. And like women have like a 46 box of crayons or whatever.
Yeah.
And so when like men and women are in relationship with each other, it's like the woman in the relationship comes with like a lilac, not even purple. It's like a lilac crayon, right? Yeah. And that's their whatever emotion she's experiencing at that time.
Right.
But all he has is green, yellow, red, and blue. Like how is he gonna like meet her or even like understand what she's going through or anything, you know? Showing like the empathy thing you were talking about and how men need to develop, you know, their box of crayons so that they have more that they're working with besides the 4. And I do think that like is not just the responsibility of men to do. I think that's a responsibility as all of us in our society. Anyway, he tells his own analogy a lot better than I did. So like definitely check it out. And I definitely want to read his book. Yeah, essentially it's like really redefining what manhood looks like and then understanding how to like, you know, raise kids in that way. And then, I don't know. What else do you have to say about that?
I'm glad you brought him up because he's really good. I've seen, I think I saw like in one of his videos, he was like, you know, working with the kids in martial arts.
This is a perfect, I think.
Yeah, he's just so good.
Did you watch the one where the kid was like crying?
Yeah.
Like this is actually works perfectly with our topic because like the kid was crying. And he was like,
because I forget. Okay, so I don't know if it's the same one.
It's gonna give me chills.
He's such like the work that he does with these kids is just so impactful, and you could tell like he's legitimately breaking generational curses. Honestly, like these expectations. Like so many of his videos have him like working with these kids, and they'll get upset and they'll get angry, and they're doing, you know, martial arts. He'll grab them and he'll be like I see your anger, you know, I see that frustration inside you. Like that emotion in and of itself isn't bad, but you can't just just like pour that out on everyone because you're going to end up hurting people that you care about, you know. So he's like you gotta funnel that and feel that and put it in the right way. Like there was an example of this kid who lost, you know, the training bout. But he like lost it because his dad was there and like he was kind of crying. He was like, listen, you know, you're upset because you lost in front of your father, and you called the father over. And he was like, listen, I didn't even have my father when I was, you know, growing up and doing this kind of stuff. I didn't have a father who would even, you know, think the time to spend with me. He's like, your father's here. He cares about you. You think he all of a sudden because he lost, he doesn't love you. He doesn't care about you. You know, the father came up and he was like, you know, I'm here for you. I got your back, you know. And he's creating these safe spaces for young boys to grow up knowing that I can feel these things, but those things won't control me. I can still do what I need to do. And like, even when the kid went back to, do another bout, the father and Jason was sitting down, and the father was like, man, like, it's like, this is. Like,
he said it makes him emotional.
Yeah. And like, normally, I imagine, even as being that kid's father, he might not have had, open opportunities to express the type of love that he has for his son. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just.
It literally, he's showing, and it's hard to even articulate what's happening or like what the formula is, but it's literally showing the perfect mix of like, he is making space for the kids and what like the boys and the emotions that they're experiencing. Yeah. But then he's also instilling like the strength and toughness and like just teaching them how to channel and also like love, like expressing love. Like, it's just like all of these things are happening all at one time. And it's just so beautiful.
And that's the age to be doing it, because if they learn that their only avenue again is anger and to express yourself, then they will take that to the rest of their lives. Like, I think it was Steve Harvey. It's like a clip on the Steve Harvey show like some years ago. A woman was asking Steve for advice, like she felt like her husband was being too tough on her boys and stuff like that. And Steve was like, would you be happy if your sons were to grow up and become the same type of man that your husband was? She was like, yeah. It's like, then why are you trying to stop him from doing that? And it was like, undisciplined boys become undisciplined men.
Oh, geez.
So like, if you need to start early and teach people how to express themselves, give them the discipline that they need. And like discipline, we have such a negative connotation around the word discipline, but like discipline is like
to teach.
Yeah, it's a tool to keep you in the proper bounds and place that you need to be in. And once you grow to a point where you no longer need you won't need those bounds, because to stay where you need to stay so you can thrive and you can flourish as an individual. But in those early age, you need, even later ages, you'll still need discipline, but it'll be on yourself to discipline yourself to do those things rather than, having a parent and stuff like that.
But there's also like just natural consequences that happen if you're not.
Yeah. Which there's consequences and repercussions for everything.
Yes.
You'd rather it be a parent scolding you when you're young
that loves you, that cares about you.
Then, you be sent to jail for something stupid you did. And like, oh, well, now I can't blame nobody but myself for this.
Two things. One, like I'm going to read Jason Wilson's book, because I think I keep coming back to in my mind, like this is not just men that the responsibility is on for this to all function. Like there's the shift and the changes in culture have to come from all of us. And so it's like, I need to learn, I need to know. And to your point, like I'm already preparing myself mentally for like what will happen, like me as a future, like a mom. And I'm watching like my husband be like tough, like I'm already mentally preparing for that, because I know I will struggle. Like I know that's going to be hard for me, because I think, like you said, as women, it's just like a different vibe. Like I'm very nurturing, soft, like empathy. Like to watch that happen will be really hard. But like I'm so confident, and I know so much in like how important it is that happens. That the dad can discipline their son in this way and kind of like steward and be tough on them, but also be loving and being like all those things. And it's like a whole different energy and vibe that a mom can give a child, you know? And I have to be able to like let it happen and don't get, like don't step in, stop it. Even if I feel uncomfortable, I'm like already preparing for that. And I don't even have a child.
It's good that you are preparing for it, because otherwise I think too often people find themselves in, situations and relationships that they aren't prepared for. Okay, well, this leads us into, I think it's our last question here, because we kind of breeze through a lot of these ones, but can sensitivity be a strength, and how?
Yes, it can. I feel very well. This is now, we've talked a lot about the like male perspective. I think this is now, I'm shifting back into the female perspective. And I think something that I was going to say at the beginning, but I guess it kind of ties in here. The one thing I think potentially that, because I said I'm really comfortable, right, with being vulnerable. I'm comfortable with expressing, but I do think sometimes that can be seen as weakness and not strength. And that really bothers me, because I am very vulnerable. I'm very emotional. I'm very sensitive, but I also consider myself very strong, you know? And so, yes, I think it absolutely can be a strength, like this sensitivity and strength. I'm having a hard time articulating why I think that. I think because, I don't know, maybe you have a thought, but it's like there's power that you like emotions and expressing them. There's so much like freedom. There's so much power. There's so like rawness and genuine, like something there that is strong. I don't know. Do you have a thought?
Well,
Help
okay,
me.
so I'm thinking from like being vulnerable and emotional is often considered weakness, but you have to be very confident to be vulnerable. Like if you're thinking from a practical, sense, like if you're going into battle, you typically armor up. Like if you're going in a one-on-one fight, like think of like Greco-Roman times, they got armor or not even Greco-Roman. Like let's think of like medieval times. They've got armor on, like full suit of chainmail and all this stuff. If you're going out and you're fighting with that and your opponent comes out and he's just got his sword and no armor, just like regular clothes, he either knows he's about to beat you no matter what or he's a fool. But like it takes confidence to come out knowing you're about to fight, but you could put on armor on, you could put walls up and all this stuff, but you're saying it doesn't matter if, I'm vulnerable, but I'm still gonna win this thing. So like vulnerability, sensitivity, like all those things, they are inherently strengths because you have the ability to cover yourself up, but you're choosing intentionally to do that because you believe it's in either in your best interest or just better for you in general.
Right. Someone saying two people feel nervous, right? Or even if you think of the battle example, maybe it doesn't apply, but like one person feels like, I'm just going to say it out loud, I'm going to own it. The other person's like, no, I can't say it because that would mean I'm weak.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, how do you even view those two? How do you view the two people that are about to go, let's say they're going into battle. I don't know. I can't think of another example, but it's like the one person says to you as like, let's say you're the commander. One person says like, I'm nervous. And then the other one doesn't say anything. Are you thinking this person is less qualified to go into battle?
If someone tells me that they're nervous, okay.
Because that's being vulnerable, right?
Because the fact of the matter is both of them are nervous. One's just owning it and saying it. The other one feels it but doesn't want to say it because they're afraid of
how that would make them look.
How it would make them look, or that it would change something about who they fundamentally are. The person who's just said it and owned it, they've already overcome the fear of it. So the person who hasn't said it, they're not only battling whatever it is that they're battling, but they're also battling a fear that's inside of themselves that has nothing to do with that. So like they're fighting two battles versus this person who's just fighting one at this point.
Ooh, and that's where the strength piece can come in, right? Because it's like being sensitive, being vulnerable, acknowledging, it's helping you get like that is part of the process of helping you move past it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's strength, you know, because if you're not able to do that, kind of like you talked about with the emotions being funneled through one, when you give the office example, there's like only one thing it can be funneled through. So it's like this big, huge reaction. It's like, or if it's not being funneled at all, like that
that happens too.
Exactly. So it's like, that is not strength at all. That's actually like, can be just, I don't know, chaotic or just come out in a way. It's unpredictable.
Yeah.
So anyway, that makes sense to me how it is strength, because it's like actually addressing it. It's moving past it. Like you said, conquering it or the fear or whatever.
Yeah.
I do.
I do. No, I think societally, we're at a point, and not even so much gender. I think especially like my nephew's generation and younger, they're more.
Danny? That age? Okay.
Yeah, and even younger. Like what's the new?
It's Gen Z, Gen X, Gen Alpha? I don't know.
Maybe.
So if Danny's like 25, 26, you're talking about what, like teenagers right now?
Yeah, probably teenagers right now.
Okay.
Or even his age. Let's say like they're
Gen Z.
They're Gen Z? Okay. Danny was Gen Z, maybe.
No, Danny's Gen Z.
No, I'm talking. Okay, well,
his age. Are you talking about?
You're right. Yes, his age and whatever that is, alpha, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure, but Gen Z
alpha,
and whatever is under that,
well,
younger.
Yeah, Z is alpha,
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gen Z and younger, their generations are, and I feel like on both male and female, they're very quick to say when like, all right, you know, how they feel. And like, and I do think that not our generation, but like the older generation has a tough time dealing with how expressive people are and how like quick people are to be like, I'm over this. I need my own time because I want to express myself, but like, and they just make space for themselves to express stuff. But
well, you know, there's positive and negatives. So all generations, we all have our things. But that's millennials.
That's a whole different
that's a whole other topic.
Generational. But yeah, I just think that dynamic's a little interesting too. But yeah, well, yes. Well, I hope that each and every one of us has learned a little bit about each other and how we relate to one another across the emotional spectrum, and how we can make space for one another to feel, one another to express themselves and not feel judged or feel shame for how they feel, because how you feel isn't who you are. At the end of the day, we need to, love each other in totality. Okay, well, thank you for joining us for another episode. This has been interesting. It's been a good topic.
Yeah.
I feel like we could probably even unpack this even more. Well, who knows? We might come back to it, but there are no rules here. Yes, please continue to keep the conversation going in our socials, in our comment section. Hit us up on IG, TikTok, YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe, like, comment, all that nonsense. I hate it, but we need it. Keep the engagement going. Yes, and there are no answers, no perfections, just two sides, the same couch, one conversation at a time. We'll catch you on the next one.
See you next time.